Welcome back, everybody, to the Success Partner Podcast. I'm Daya Naef, your host, and today I have with me Lydia Desnoyers, who is a CPA, and she is a CFO strategist and just an all-around amazing person. So, Lydia, I'm so happy to have you here today.
Thank you for having me. This is so exciting.
So I know from our previous conversations that you really love to specialize with women-owned law firms, which is a niche of mine as well. But tell us how you got into that and what you like best about it.
Awesome. Thanks for asking that. So, oddly enough, when I started doing the fractional CFO, I hadn't identified a niche yet. And I remember a really good friend of mine, a professional colleague, asking me, Lydia, what's your niche? And I said, well, you know what? I don't have one because the service I provide is very universal. It depends on, the person. I get to know the business or whatnot. But somehow my name ended up in a Facebook group full of women-owned law firms who specialize in immigration law. And so I started getting all these calls from women-owned law firms, or these women law firm owners who specialize in immigration. And so I kind of fell into that niche, and I realized I loved it, and I can relate to it because as a woman-owned professional services firm myself, there are some unique challenges and nuances that we experience as women in the professional services arena that I can relate to and offer my own experience use that as a tool to help other women to navigate these kind of challenges and things that are unique to us. So I would say like that's my favorite part. It's like the mindset and the coaching aspect of it. So I'm not just a numbers person, but the coaching part really is the best part of it.
I love it. Yeah. And speaking of coaching, like I know you do a lot of one-to-one work. What other kinds of ways do you work with your clients?
So as a fractional CFO, I have three core solutions. So I do the fractional CFO for mid to larger size law firms that have maybe been in business for a couple of years, but just find themselves being stuck. And so the fractional CFO is really understanding the financial aspect of the business, because I'm sure as you can understand and relate that in law school, I just had this conversation that a lot of these lawyers who start their own firm, they obviously go to law school, and it teaches you how to go to court, how to understand the legal aspect of things and how to be a lawyer, but they don't teach you how to run a business. And a law firm is a business, whether you recognize it or not. It's a business, and a business that so happens to provide legal services, right? And so I help these law firm owners with the business aspect of their operations and understanding their financials, how business decisions affect the financials, and how to use their financials to make better business decisions. So that's my ongoing solution as a fractional CFO. I also do one-to-one coaching or strategic planning advisory, as I like to call it. And so it's priced, a smaller firm that perhaps is not in a position to have a fractional CFO on an ongoing basis, but still need some strategies that they can implement on their own to get their firm to that next level, and to where maybe they can hire a fractional CFO. And then I also have some online resources for, new law firms, solo practitioners. So, I have some resources on how to do your trust accounting, right? That's a big one. That can land you in a lot of hot water if it's not done correctly. So how to properly do your trust accounting and your 3-year reconciliations, what KPIs, key performance indicators you can do. So there's some online resources that are at your pace, at your pace kind of courses. I listen to what the needs are, and then I provide a solution.
Yeah, that active listening is really key, and finding out what people, we could provide them with a great solution, but if it's not the one that they wanted, then it's really,
yeah. And that's the difference between selling and actually helping, right? I do spend a lot of time really understanding what a client needs. Because it's really important. And I'm the first to tell somebody, hey, look, I don't know if I can help you, or it doesn't happen often, but there have been cases where I'm like, hey, look, I feel like you have things under control. I don't really think you need me in this full capacity, but here's some areas I can help with, or here's some tips that you could probably do on your own. But yeah, that takes active listening and making sure I understand what the needs are, what the challenges are, what the goals are, to understand how I can help.
Yeah, it's a true testament to you rapport and truth giving and all that to be able to walk away and say, hey, you know what,
Yeah.
you don't need me, or you need some. No, you're
So my lovely daughter, Lady, so her name is Lady, Laydi, which is just an anagram of my name.
I love it.
She's 15 months and she is the love of my life. I am a single mom by choice, which means I had my daughter on my own without a partner in the traditional sense. And I use donor sperm and IVF to conceive and have her. And she's just so amazing. I mean, every day she does something new, and just shows this like development. She's so smart. She's already matching her colors. She's saying some of the colors and she's dancing. She's singing along to tunes. It's just every day she does something amazing. And so when she is like one of my, stories, I guess, of like, just being really intentional about what I want out of life. And, during the pandemic, after streaming all of Netflix and all the streaming you can do, I remember just taking a nap once and had this experience where I heard my daughter on the hardwood floors and she tugged on my hand. And I remember waking up like, wait, when did I have a kid? When was I pregnant? Did I deliver? And I realized it hadn't happened, but I think at that moment is when I knew I was ready to be a mom. And I was single and I had already frozen my eggs. So I think that provided me a level of empowerment where I felt like, okay, I could do this on my own. And so I started looking into it, reached out to my clinic, and here we are. 4 years later, I have a 15-month-old as a single mom by choice. And just really, really enjoying life and just taking the time to really show gratitude and appreciation and recognizing that I am living the life that I dreamt for myself. I love sharing that story because once I decided I wanted to become a single mom by choice, I was very intentional of how I run my business and how I provide my solutions. And so I reorganized my entire firm to support my journey of becoming a mom and support my journey of being a mom. And that was the moment that what pushed me into doing the business advisory and fractional CFO, because I realized that if I can do it, I'm sure there's other women out there who go into business, right? We all go into business with this idea of a lifestyle that we want, but then we get into the business and we are doing everything on our own. And we're just so focused on a business that we kind of lose sight of why we went into business in the first place, the lifestyle that we want, right? Or it doesn't seem as attainable. And so that's where this desire came and for me to do this and help other women. So it circle back to why, I love working with women is because of that, right? It's because, no one goes into business just to work hard and not, reap the fruits of our labor. We want to have a certain lifestyle. And so for me, when I start working with women, I want to understand not just your goals for your business, but what the real goal is, right? What you want, how you want your business to support your lifestyle, and what is that lifestyle that you want. And I know when we're always taught that business is here, right? And then your personal life is here. Do not mix the two, right? Do not go to your clients talking about your personal stuff. Do not bring your business back home, and talk about your business with your family. So we just naturally want to keep them separate. But I like to find a way to integrate them because one is supposed to support the other. Your personal life is going to impact how you run your business. Your business is going to impact your personal life. I wish it was that simple as I leave my office and, as you get to the door, hang everything up. No, you take it with you. And especially in my case, I actually work from home. So there's really no separating. But really understanding that the two are related, right? And so how do we keep that focus or remember that as we're running our business? And that's going to help you with your decisions and being intentional and being strategic, right? So in my case, like I said, I wanted to be available as a sole parent, sole provider. I need to make sure that I can financially provide for her, but just as importantly, I need to make sure that I can provide emotionally for her and I can be present for her. How can I do that? And that started to drive my thoughts, and my decision making and how I run my business, how I delegate things to my teams and colleagues and whatever, who I say no to, what kind of clients I say no to, what kind of clients, being very, clear about what kind of clients I do want to work with. And the kind of value that I'm able to provide. So yeah, so I do that. Thank you so much for asking about my daughter, because she is the reason I do what I do. And why I've been so intentional with how I run my business and who I interact with and where I spend my energy and time.
Absolutely. Your boundaries. And we talked about that, about taking days off and
Mhm.
holidays, and then going and taking advantage of things while they're happening. Like there's a festival,
Right.
whatever, this weekend, there's not going to be one this weekend. So how do we make that happen to where we can really have
Right.
a full life? And I do hear that
Right.
from my women lawyer clients who have
Right.
gone on their own or gone and joined specifically a women owned and run firm, so that
Mhm.
they have that understanding, and I mean, it's one
Right.
thing to get maternity leave or paternity leave. I think what do they call it now? Just, parental leave,
Family. Yeah.
to get
Parents.
that, but then to have an actual support to
Mhm.
where your parenthood becomes part of your lifestyle and part of your work life for the long term. The legal industry has been,
Right.
slow to adapt
Exactly.
on long term planning
Yeah.
with that. So,
Exactly. And this goes back to the unique challenges that women have, or the things that women think about, or that are generally, the responsibility, and I hope I'm not canceled for that, but like that's the society's expectations. Like it's usually the woman's responsibility, right? I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's usually what society does. So these are things that men don't really think about. Men are not thinking about, maternity leave or parental leave, or how do I build it? They just do it. And so again, it's, to go back to your original question of like, why do I do that? It's because this is a unique situation that women, have to navigate and consider and think about and ponder, that men usually don't. They usually have like the mom at home, or, the wife at home, to handle that. And it's like a foregone conclusion. It's not even anything they have to think about. It's like this, it is what it is. Whereas for us, whether, we're single moms or not moms or whatever, we are always thinking about the family dynamic, whatever that family structure looks like. We are the ones thinking about the family dynamic at home. And so again, when you're running your business, how can we integrate the two? And I use the word integrate because the word balance, I think, has a whole new meaning, a whole different meaning, where we think, okay, well, if I put 50% of my energy in my business today, then, 50% goes to it doesn't really work like that. It's not really, so it's how do we integrate it? And I'll give you a simple example, like if I have to travel for a client meeting, it's within my engagement letter to say, okay, well, I have to cover, care for my child. I may have to bring a nanny with me. So there's a added things that I think of and that I incorporate and integrate into my business. So little things like that, um, are, that mean a lot, right? Because if I'm traveling, who's taking care of my daughter? you know?
right.
Um, yeah. So things that we have to think about.
I love it. I love it. And this has been a great conversation, and I definitely look forward to more conversations with you. Very, very symbiotic in in the way we think and the way we support people.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you everybody for watching the Success Partner podcast. I am your host, Daya Naef, and, stay tuned. We'll have more.